Now, for today's show. My guest today is another Tony of a different kind, but the same when it comes to a huge heart, big voice, and a love of bringing people together. Tony Rabah is an accountant and business advisor of more than 25 years and the founder and CEO of The Male Hug. Long before The Male Hug existed, Tony had noticed that his boardroom had become a place where men came to talk about more than just their finances. His own experiences of business pressure, loss, and relationship breakdown would eventually give him another perspective on just how important those conversations can be. Today, The Male Hug has grown from that idea into Talktober, 1-800-MY-BUDDY, Our Buddy, education and community programs, major events and partnerships, supported by ambassadors including Kevy Sheedy. I know you're listening, Kevin Sheedy. I'm so sorry. Kevin Sheedy, AO, Matthew Richardson, and Tim Manor and Andrew Conway. And at the centre of it all remains a very simple idea, creating safe, judgment-free spaces where men can connect, talk, and be heard. So today I want to find out about the man behind all of that. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Thanks, Rae, and great to be here.
Kevy Sheedy, can you believe I said that?
He's a good man. Yeah, he'll have a bit of a chuckle.
Yeah. Well, my first question to you, what does it feel like being you today?
Oh, what does it feel like being me today? I was a bit stressed out getting here this morning with no sat-nav directions on my phone, but feels good. Feels very, very positive, and it's great to be here to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, which is men's mental health, and I know you are too. You've been in this space much longer than I have, and I look forward to a huge deep dive into how we can collaborate and share our thoughts.
Yes, well, we've got 2 hours to do that. A few tunes at the same time. But you and I are very new friends, even though we were connected about a year ago through a mutual friend.
Correct.
And it's taken us all that time, which is indicative of probably how much work we've been doing in the men's health space, and also probably forgetful minds. But Uncle Bill, as I know him, others know him as Nabil Caban, or he was the owner and much loved face of the famous Colombo's Pizza Family restaurant in Baldwin for 50 years.
Yeah.
And I actually met him 13 years ago when my son Rory was just a little kid, and I'd taken him to the movies at Palace Cinemas to see Walking with Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, I'll go over the road and have a pizza at Colombo's. And so we went over there, and as soon as we sat down, Uncle Bill came and sat with us. He tried to push a lot of wine onto me. That was back in my drinking days.
Yeah.
And and that's where our relationship started. And I was really blown away by just watching how Uncle Bill serves others. And as we sat at that table, he would just get up. You know, if somebody dropped a napkin on the floor, he would see it from 500 metres away. And that's how big Colombo's was.
It was massive, yeah.
Massive. And he would go and pick it up and have a conversation and come back. And since then, you know, we've done a lot of work together. I've spoken at many events at Colombo's with, you know, Josh Frydenberg and Nick Maxwell, ex-Collingwood captain.
Yep.
Great people like that, all talking about mental health, men's health. So thank you, Uncle Bill, for always being in my corner and being such a positive influence on my life and my family's life.
No, he's a good man, Nabil. I know him as Nabil, but Nabil, I first met him probably, would have been about 20 years ago, I reckon, when I was living in Bulleen, and I used to pop down to Colombo's, and yeah, he's Lebanese like I am, and but he's got a big heart. He's a good man. He's very selfless. But yeah, and obviously he's got Mosaic now down in Toorak Road, and
what a cracker of a place that is.
Good restaurant, yeah, great place.
If you want the best, like that, the food is mind blowing.
Yeah, outside of my mum's Lebanese food, I reckon he's got it nailed. So it's yeah.
Because it's a bit of a fusion of Syrian too, isn't it?
Well, Syrian and Lebanese are very similar with foods, sort of dips and meats and salads and bully and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, no, he's doing well down there, which is wonderful to see.
Yeah, and if you get down there, you might see a belly dancer, or you've got some good singers that get down there.
Every so often he'll run a certain night. So no, it's Mosaic. I think it's 304 Toorak Road, South Yarra. So get down there for a good feed.
Yep. And do you know, testament to another thing, Uncle Bill and community. He would employ so many people at Colombo's because it was such a big place.
Yeah.
And I remember I was down there once and a girl had returned from the US who had worked with Uncle Bill, and she was now some highfalutin lawyer, but made it her business to come back and come and see him every time she was in Melbourne. And even people at Mosaic who work there are Colombo's people who've come back. My son Rory, he got his first part-time job at Mosaic, and Uncle Bill taught him everything he needs to know about hospitality.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
such good lessons in life. So,
well, they say it's not what people say to you; it's how they make you feel that you remember the most. And I reckon he's got he certainly left a lasting impression on me. I mean, we lost contact for a number of years, and I walked into Mosaic about a year and a half ago, and there he was, and it was like I had spoken to him 5 minutes ago, and I had not seen him for about more than 10, 15 years. So,
wow, why did you lose contact?
Not sure, don't know.
Just life.
Life, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's we could do a whole show on Uncle Bill.
Probably could get him in. Yeah,
well, he has been on the show. He's been on the show, has he? It was a while back, but now there's a big focus on men's mental health in today's show, and it didn't take me long in my I guess connection into the men's health sector to recognise that if I only looked at one part of men and their health, I was missing the whole picture. So mental and physical health simply aren't separate things, but completely integrated. Like a broken hand might look like a purely physical injury, but what if it happened while taking on unnecessary risk at a time when a person was blindsided with grief, whilst navigating a relationship breakdown and issues around seeing their kids? Suddenly, where does physical and mental start and finish? And I think I would love a world where we stop talking about men's mental health and just talk about men's health.
Yeah, I agree.
I would really love that. And not to say that you need to jump on your website now and change all of that. But if you imagine, if we're talking about men's health as an integrated thing, because it is all so interconnected, men will show you behaviour before they will talk to you. And some of that behaviour will be high-risk taking behaviour.
Yeah. Look, we've always advocated for the fact that it should just be simply men's health. I mean, we're trying to normalise, obviously, men's mental health. If you've got some sort of physical injury, you go to the doctor. Mental health needs to be treated accordingly, not just a separate issue. But and that's why we advocate for talking as part of that solution. I think it goes a long, long way to resolving what is happening within a man's mind or a man's psyche.
I agree, but sometimes it's not about talking either, because not everyone wants to talk. I love talking. I would not have a job if I didn't talk. If you weren't
talking, yeah.
That's all I do. But do you think our focus on men's mental health sometimes puts it into a box that doesn't reflect how men are actually experiencing their health? And there's that persistent myth that men don't care about their health, yet we've got decades of research and evidence showing that they will engage when services are accessible, relevant, and health promotion resonates with them. So why does so much of the narrative still focus on what men need to do rather than asking whether our systems are meeting their needs?
That's a good question. I mean, I obviously do my regular checkups and so forth and make sure that everything's okay.
Who taught you how to do that?
Myself. I just basically, I think from probably the age of 30 odd, I would probably see a doctor every couple of years or just get blood tests and things to make sure, just on a very sort of small scale. But
why though? What?
Just that's no reason. I just basically.
So it wasn't that you wanted to preserve health or live healthier, or
just to make sure that everything's okay, just to get the main sort of blood tests done and just to keep check on things. I guess that's.
So there is an objective in that you wanted to check to make sure everything was okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason you do it. But there's a thing, and you mentioned before that why do we focus on men's health as being an issue? I mean, there's a lot of campaigns that run around, checking up on your heart and prostate and all these sort of things. And I don't know. I mean, I would say that a lot of men don't do that stuff. So that's why they're campaigning hard to make sure that more men are out there. Or is it a self-interest thing for these organisations? I don't know.
Just say you're a man of a certain vintage.
Yep.
Who is terrified of something being wrong with him, so will avoid going to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a campaign about, get your prostate checked.
Yep.
And that's it. That narrative that goes through that man's head might be, I don't want somebody to put their finger up my backside. Yeah. It's too invasive. It's going to hurt. When can I go and do that? Who do I go and do that with? Because I actually don't have a doctor and I don't want some stranger touching me like that. And that goes on and on. Of course they're going to avoid. So why wouldn't we be building campaigns that say, hey, did you know that it starts with just a blood test?
Blood test, yeah.
Very, very simple. In fact, imagine workplaces that had free prostate testing.
PSA, yeah, just a blood test. Yeah, yep.
Easy, simple. Meet them where they are.
Yeah.
But we're still expecting men to fix their own problem, which is just get your prostate checked. And I have no idea, not me, but a man, I have no idea how to do that, let alone what that entails.
Yeah. Well, I learned through my doctor it was a PSA test. I probably did my first one probably 3 years ago. But prior to that, it wasn't an issue for me. So, or not, and it was normal. So I every couple of years I'll do a PSA as part of my blood test just to make sure that everything's okay. But no, you're right. I mean, when people say, get your prostate checked and guys don't know what's involved, and it might maybe freak some people out more than, be beneficial in that regard. Maybe more information. Same with the heart stuff. I mean, there's a lot of blood tests, cholesterol and all that sort of thing. It's an issue but I take an approach that you've got to be a little bit proactive physically as well. So I do a walk every day, do my 10,000 steps, and love my food, but I try to eat okay. But it's hard at the best of times. But Lebanese mother and a Serbian mother-in-law who makes some of the best sweets on the planet. So,
did you bring any in?
I should forget.
You bought me a hat. I much prefer a cake.
We'll get the biscuits around next time. But I get all sorts of things sent to me, and my mother-in-law swears there's no sugar in them. But it's, look, I don't know. Everything in moderation in life. I think you just you take it all in and you enjoy the journey. But yeah, getting regular checkups is something that I think is pretty wise.
For men that might be listening in today or will listen to the recording later, because as I said to you, we've got people that listen in from about 70 countries of the world. So reaching men and boys who might be listening in, what would you say to them in terms of how to access healthcare for themselves? And I mean, how do you choose a doctor to begin with?
I've had the same doctor for probably close to 30 years or 25 years or so. Just feeling comfortable.
No, but I'm saying, what would you say to them?
How would they to choose a doctor?
Yeah, what would you say? How do you choose a doctor?
I don't know. You'd probably just go to your local sort of community, medical centre and just work it out, I guess. That's probably...
So that's where men will stop and go, I can't be bothered doing that. That's too hard.
Really?
Exactly.
Wow.
So I'll find that men, when recommendations, you might ask a mate, who do you go to?
Yeah.
That's a really good way in, because that's where trust is built. If my mate has been to somebody and had a good experience, I'm most likely going to go. Well, I'm more likely going to go than just rock up because I'm too busy, especially when you account, so men in high risk workplaces, which account for most of our workforce. When do they have time when they're working? They get to work at 6 a.m. in the morning. They finish, say, 4 in the afternoon. They've got to go home, care for kids, whatever they need to do. When do they go? Yeah.
Finding the time is probably a bit challenging.
That's right. So
when you say men in high-risk areas, what do you mean by that?
So if you think about Australia in particular, our high production industries, mining, manufacturing, construction, infrastructure, transport, logistics, agriculture.
Yep.
They occupy in excess of 95% male occupancy.
Right.
So that's a huge amount of men.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that I do meets men there. Go, okay, well, if most men are in those sectors, that's where we can meet them and work with them there rather than trying to get them out of there into systems that don't exist, because systems don't exist yet that are male friendly.
Probably worth the employers then taking it upon themselves to bring those people in to open those pathways for them. But I will say as well, like when you talk of high risk, you know, the male hug was established to, I suppose, to focus on that corporate professional male demographic. And I see a lot of those as high risk as well, with what they have to do in their workplaces, the commitments, the hours, the stress of what they're dealing with. That is incredibly high risk from not just a mental health space, but also from a physical health space. Like a lot of these guys, they do let themselves go. I mean, I'm still kind of am part of that world, but, you know, boozy lunches and, you know, drug, cocaine, big part of that corporate sector, and fast pace, get results, you know, big cowboys, high achievers, dealing at the top end of that is high risk for a male who then just completely crashes. So we've dealt with those, and we speak to those C-level executives and leaders that the pressure's on. You perform at all costs. Mm. So yeah, there's a lot of, it's quite subjective, but high risk is everywhere. I mean, it's just
but thank you for saying that, because I completely agree with you. That is such an overlooked demographic.
Yeah.
And when I talk about high risk, it's from a physical perspective. So you look in the sectors that I'm talking about, the hazards that exist in there, you can't change them. They're there, they exist, they can't be moved. However, we can work with how the people are exposed to those hazards. So when you're talking about that demographic and high risk, I completely agree with you, because it's all unseen, and most of it's psychosocial. And then there's that intersection of physical and mental challenge that occurs. And, you know, if I was going to be a little bit politically incorrect, I would say, you know, male privilege is still a term that we associate, especially with white privileged men in the C-suite, who really don't need or deserve support, and therefore we overlook them.
Yeah, well, I've got a major issue with that sort of white male privilege sort of. It's crap. I just think, I don't know where it came from. But
tell you what, sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right. Yeah.
I know many of those men, and I would not want to be one for $1 million.
No,
at all.
It's a brutal existence, and the thing is that a lot of them are stuck to a certain it's a lifestyle that they struggle to get out of. I reckon a lot of those get out of it through divorce, and this sounds horrible, but you're chained to a role in many, you know, that you might love it or you might whatever, but it's the pay packet, and then the lifestyle, the family, kids go to private schools, all the rest of it. There's a real lifestyle associated with that, and then you're stuck. And you're working mostly, and I speak to these guys, you're working with people that you don't really sort of care much for, and once you've left that world, that brutal world of whatever role you were playing, there's an issue with loneliness, because a lot of these CEOs and C-levels and leaders, and once they're out of that place, the phone stops ringing. And this is a common theme, and loneliness and emptiness, and there's just no fulfillment. There's no, you know, the world almost ceases to exist. Their previous world's finished. They're forgotten. Someone steps into their role. So when we talk about men's mental health, in those roles, these men are not going to talk. They're the best mask wearers of all time. It's all acting. You know, you're not going to tell anybody what's going on, because the minute you do, well, how are you supposed to perform your role, and how are you supposed to, that bottom line, you know, those profit margins need to exist regardless of how you're feeling. So how can you do that? You won't do that, and you'll struggle through until you can't. Because if you start to talk about it, someone will just step in and just swipe you right out of the way to take that role and opportunity. So how do we change that? I don't know. I don't know if we can, but it's quite brutal.
I think generational change might help a little, but what you've described there, that is such a perfect storm. And when you talk about identity and, you know, a man who is in those positions, and I know this because I work with them one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
they are always serving somebody else. The reason they go to work is to serve families, children. Often in, you know, a blended family, they'll be supporting other people's children. They'll be supporting other people's parents. So that reason for actually turning up is to support others. And then once they have no value, lose that job, then there's no value. And that's where all the taps are turned off. That's when partners leave them, friends desert them.
Correct.
And there's no systems of support for those men to enter into, because everyone goes, well, you're privileged. You have money. Not to the fact that the divorce will take most of that away from you, including your kids, which gives you even less reason to live. And then we wonder why there's a problem with suicide at that age.
100% spot on. You've nailed it. You've absolutely
nailed it with me.
Well, yeah, correct. But the thing is, and this is why the male hug was born. It was basically, you know, to raise awareness, to shine the biggest light possible on this demographic. And we don't only deal with professional men. There's a lot of women that are associated with these men. There's a lot of families. There's a lot of men in other industries that are basically supporting the male hug because they too are going through stuff as well. But no worse thing than being in a really serious role, whatever that serious role title means. You walk around, you're the main man, everybody wants a piece of you. All of a sudden that finishes, and that's finishing early, sort of mid, late 50s, you're gone. A lot of men walking around in parks, walking their dogs, almost the forgotten demographic of this world. And what do we do with them? Do we just, you know, it's actually it's a bigger issue than, you know, much broader issue than what anybody's talking about at the moment.
They're literally missing in plain sight.
That's it. You've nailed it. They're missing in plain sight. They're just walking around like just empty vessels. Yeah. I was once the CEO, or I was once the COO, or I was once something, and now I'm just waiting for the next, you know, last chapter of my life, whatever that looks like. So, sounds brutal, but it's actually happening out
brutal.
There. Yeah,
it is.
And throw in AI in really taking a lot of those roles, and I think I actually believe that this problem is going to be far worse in the next 3 to 5 years, if not sooner.
Unless we can create systems that support men and boys that are male friendly. Like, you know, when you were painting that picture again, Tony, and then men, you know, the greatest numbers of suicide are men 80 plus. That's where they sit, and people don't care. People don't care because those men are expired. Their use by date has expired. They have no value left. So we don't really care. We invest nothing into it, these men. And often their wives have passed away. They have no identity, no purpose, no responsibility. And it's easier just to die. It's
a fact. I recently spoke to a CEO who reached out and loves the work that we're doing, but spoke about the fact that his mother had passed away, and his father felt exactly like that and took his life not long afterwards. Now, when you think about that, I mean, it's beyond sad. It's not, but you're right. Society seems to just say, okay, whatever, you know, they've taken their life, move on. But there's a lot of men waiting in the queue, you know, in that if things don't change for them, that's where they're going to end. I mean, Kevin Sheedy, you know, has coined this whole thing, the war within, and he speaks about the fact that, you know, each year, that on average they say 7 men a day, 2,500 a year, that's 25,000 in the last decade. He said we've lost something
that we know of.
That we know of, yeah. We've lost 500 in the Vietnam War, 25,000 here minimum. And the Herald Sun beautifully wrote about it with Kevin Sheedy in an article. They're pretty brutal stats. I mean, that's just not a man. That's someone's dad, brother, father, cousin, mate, neighbour, whatever.
Well, the ripple effect is huge.
Ripple effect is massive, yeah.
But, you know, talking about Kevin Sheedy, he won't know the impact that he's had on so many people in his lifetime and how many lives he's saved. And he indirectly probably saved my life in that I mentioned to you the greatest love of my life is Tim Watson, number 32 for Essendon. And the reason for my work in men's health is I was raised in a pretty disrupted environment, pretty brutal, and I didn't have much of a reason to live as a young child. And growing up in that household was difficult. And I will never forget the day when the Herald Sun or the Sun or whatever it was at the time arrived, and there was a photograph of Tim Watson on the front, and he just arrived from Dimboola at the age of 15. And I was about 9 at the time, and I just fell in love instantly with his face. And anyway, that then prompted me to handwrite letters to him incessantly and follow him to every football match and stalk him. I grew up in Ringwood, so there was Essendon recruiting territory, so he was sometimes at our school. So Tim Watson would write back to every single letter that I sent, and he was a kid himself. And I was right. I have no idea some of the stuff I was writing to him, but there's one letter I have, and it starts, so Raylene, because that's my name. Yeah. It says, so Raylene, you hate school, being 13 and Form 3, so I'm glad that Essendon Football Club gives you something to be happy about. Goodness knows what I was telling him. He has been on the show here, and we've talked about those days, and he does he remembers me. You couldn't forget me because I was pretty persistent. But if it wasn't for Tim Watson and for me to have that purpose and that focus and somebody who actually cared enough about me to return those letters, I don't think I would be here today.
Wow.
And that was under the coaching of Kevin Sheedy. Maybe that was one of his directives. Make sure you get back to your fans. But
that's
I
awesome.
don't think so. I just think he's just an incredibly kind human being. And to this day, Tim Watson still delivers, you know, in terms of his service to others.
How good's that? I mean, that's the other thing that, you know, that's an amazing story. But when you talk about, when I look at the ambassadors that we have, and ambassadors, like we hold a big event at the MCG called Kick a Goal for Mental Health. We had 430 people there. It's a great day. It's a fun day. But there's much more to the day than just footballers, you know, parading around. Sure, people are there to have fun, but you use people with a voice to amplify your reach, and that's what these people do. And when I look at Matthew Richardson, an amazing human being, what he's been able to do for us. I mean, to these guys, they feel like they're not doing much, but they're contributing a lot. Kevin Sheedy, Tim Manor, you know, NRL rugby, beautiful person. Andrew Conway, dear friend from the IPA, you know, a business leader, and their voice to the male hug has absolutely allowed us that they've amplified our reach. But they all play a vital role. And, you know, any time I catch up with Kevin Sheedy, just the amount of people that surround him for autographs, I'm just sitting there. And my father was a massive Essendon supporter. We were all Carlton supporters growing up, but my dad was Essendon. And, you know, to have Kevin Sheedy as part of my world, you'd be looking down, you know, lost dad 17 years ago. But, you know, just a selfless man, good man who cannot believe that this amount of men take their lives each year. So, you know, I've had one guy reach out and say, you know, you're having all these fancy football events and blah, 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 and people don't understand, and most people get it, but I wrote to this guy personally to say that, you know, these guys are out there to amplify our reach so that people that are fans of our ambassadors can then jump on and see the work that we're doing and start talking or push it out to those in their network who need to have a chat. So, but that's a great story with yourself and Tim Watson. That's, wow. Someone that you didn't even know, you were writing to him and he saved you from incredible.
He actually rang me for my birthday once on the telephone, like back when we had the telephone bolted to the wall.
Is that right?
Yeah, he rang. And
wow.
It's still so clear in my mind. I think it was my 13th birthday. And I just could not believe that and it was very quick. It was a very brief phone call, but he just said, I'm just going to say happy birthday. And it was just like, he knew there was something going on for me.
Wow.
And,
he could have just said, not my problem.
Oh, my God,
not
I was a
interested.
pest, man. I would run Easter eggs out to him on the field. It was
my God.
you know, he'd come to my school and I'd wag class and I'd just be waiting in the car park for him. And I'm a crazy redhead underneath all of this, so it must have been terrifying for him.
Well, you told me to stop the first minute I started talking when I came into the studio, and I went, what? What are we doing here? It's a Sunday morning.
Well, that's right, but we have
it's all
to.
good.
It's all about boundaries.
Setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries.
It's all. I can talk for hours. So yeah.
Well, what's coming out of you, I'm so grateful for, because we're only half an hour in, and some of the stuff you've said is absolutely gold. So thank you for that.
Awesome. No worries.
But we have come to the part of the show that I've very clumsily coined the very special guest song request.
Cool.
And it's time when I have a bit of fun with you, as if I haven't had fun already.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a very cryptic clue, and you have to guess what the song is. So it could have to do with the artist, the title, a lyric, nothing at all.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So here's your clue. I did this at about midnight. I'm so laughing. Hay House Award for first and third.
Wow.
What's a hay house?
Hay house? I don't know.
It's a barn.
Right. Yep.
Award for first and third.
It's got to be Jimmy Barnes, is it, or No Second Prize?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, there you go.
What a clue!
Awesome song. That's a good one. Yeah.
What a clue! It's actually I realised my son, he works at Glenny Kebabs now, so he works there till like 1:30 in the morning. So I have to stay. I have a little nap and then I wake up and go and pick him up. So I think I did that around that time. But when we come back, I'm pretty much handing the mic over to you, and we're going to rewind all the way back to, I couldn't work out the year you were born, but all the way back to there.
Yep.
To build that trajectory around what it was like for you growing up, who your influence was, where everything that's led to the male hug.
Sure.
And then we'll start unpacking that.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, so you are listening to 94.1 FM. It's 3WBC. Don't go away. Here's Barnesy with No Second Prize. We'll be right back.
Great track.
Welcome back to What Does It Feel Like Being You today on 94.1 FM 3WBC with Rae Bonney. And this morning I'm joined by Tony Rabah. Is that how you say it?
Rabah, yeah.
Oh.
Rabah. I get Rabah, I get Rabah, I get, Rabah. Rabah is the more sort of, in Lebanese it's the Rabah. So it's very, if you want to say that.
He's the founder and CEO of The Male Hug, amongst many other things, but we're going to find out a little bit more about that in this segment. Before the break, we had a good yak around things men's health and challenging some of those narratives that are common. You know, men don't speak, men don't show emotion or seek help.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a biological thing. It's a shown thing. It's, you know, men who aren't shown, or boys who aren't shown how to do things. Like, you know, if you fell over now and smacked your head open and you said, Ray, better perform some brain surgery, I would not know how to do that. But if I'd gone to university for 7 to 10 years to learn that, I would know exactly what to do because somebody has shown me how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So unless we show people how to do it, telling people to do something is probably not going to be a great pathway in. Showing somebody will be relevant and relatable and make sense. So
True.
If you have to draw it on a wall, I mean, we're just saying in the break, you know, how I work with some of my clients is not through talking, it's through walking, cooking, watching a movie where, you know, there's something relevant in there, all kinds of ways to get through to make that connection.
They say that when you're encouraging a man to talk, walking shoulder to shoulder is a good way to do it.
It's a very Men's Shed motto, that one.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Men's Shed, they stand shoulder to shoulder, and what a great organisation the Men's Shed
Yeah, they
is.
do good work. They
Yes.
do a lot of good work. I think there's a lot of organisations out there that are doing great work to, when you say you can't teach them how to talk, or I think you can basically, we give them permission firstly to say you're in a safe space here. So whatever's going on stays here. So let it come out. that's where the magic, I think, lies when you provide that safe space. And
but that's showing and role modelling, isn't it?
It is.
It's not teaching, not getting in front of a classroom to say, here's how you have a conversation.
Well, there's a few ways. Well, obviously, there's tools around how to start a conversation, how to be a good
You need
listener.
that engagement to begin with. It's like you pick up a telephone. You can talk to somebody. You can't speak unless you have that engagement or that connection.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
Well, absolutely. I think I refer back to my 25 years of accounting and dealing with clients on various matters away from their financial stuff, because for some reason it just happened. So we would sit there, we would go through everything, and then I would just ask, how's it all going? And they felt comfortable enough to start to talk. There was one client that I had that was, he had it's like an eczema all over his face, and I said, what's going on? He said, I'm just stressed to the max, and he just started to talk. And at the end of it, he said to me, this is about probably 15, 16 years ago, and he said, that was awesome. He said, how good was that? He said, I haven't spoken to anyone like that for never. Mm. So, because I think as males, from a very young age, we go into situations where we get ourselves into trouble when we're younger, or we find ourselves...
Would you mind going back and actually telling this through your lens? Like, what was it like? Where did you grow up, and what was it like for you?
Yeah. So, I was born in Lebanon. So I was born in Lebanon, came here when I was 4, quite young, through the 70s when the war... My sister and I were left with my grandparents for 2 years. I don't even know what that was like for my mum and dad, but, well, I've asked my mum, and she said it was horrible. But they came here to start a life and then left us. That was a dumb thing back then, the war in the 70s. So my father came back to get us when things got really, really bad. We didn't know who he was. So we grew up, I thought my grandmother was my mother, and as a kid. But I was very attached to my grandmother. And so my father came back, brought us here, and we had we had another brother and a sister on the way, and it was weird. Like, it was quite I don't know if it shaped me in any way, or I think it may have. I've never gone back and sort of looked at it, the whole fear of abandonment sort of thing, or I don't know, but so coming, and it's funny because one of the first things when we came to Australia, I heard Mike Brady up there, Kazali. So when we had this, I don't know why this sticks out in my head, but so when we did our first kick of golf mental health at the G, I asked if anyone knew how we'd get to Mike Brady, and we got Mike Brady, and he's been doing it ever since. He sings up there, Kazali. But you talk about your Tim Watson story, but that's on a far, a much more significant level than this. But I don't know why, I just remembered that song. So Mike Brady sings up there, Kazali, at our event. But, life was quite weird, adapting, and then growing up in Coburg, sort of northern suburbs, and doing what we do. You got your friends, you ride your bike, you play footy, you play cricket in the backyard. It was a good upbringing. It was a good home. And then, we get taught that you go to university, you get a degree, you get married,
What did your dad do?
My father was a painter. He was a painter, and he was he thought he was a businessman. He tried different sort of, milk bar, and there was an IGA. He wasn't the best businessman, but he was a good man, and he tried really, really hard, and he had a heart of gold. He was he was too selfless, and he was heavily involved in the Lebanese community here. And I remember as a kid growing up, there was a lot of parties, and a lot of people were always over at our house, friends and cousins and family, stuff that you don't see these days. But yeah, it was a good upbringing. There was a lot of love in the house, and they worked hard. They did their best, and Mum was a good woman. She still is with us, and we lost my dad in 2009. He died quite young. He was 60, passed away from cancer, and yeah, that had a really, it still has a lasting impact. It's not something that you sort of, it lingers.
Yeah. How did your dad show you how to be a man?
Well, his way was you don't show weakness. You don't let, you don't let anything out. You take in, but you don't let out. That was their way. That's how they were raised. So we kept a lot of things in growing up in your 20s and 30s, and as teenagers. As a teenager, I certainly, that's what they knew. So he passed it on to us. And
did that feel normal for you, or?
Did at the time, yeah. But as I started to experience life properly, when I say properly, I think properly is your 30s, your teens and 20s, whatever. Like, just, what do you know? You go to university, you go out, you play around, you muck around, you do all that. It's the learning phase of life. But we never stop learning. But yeah, 30s, you start to sort of reflect a little bit better, and there's a bit of hindsight behind you to reflect on. But do
you remember the transition between being a boy and becoming a man?
No, I don't.
No. I mean, puberty for females and males is the biggest single change you will go through in your entire existence.
Right, yeah.
And we pay no attention to it, really. It's just like, just clean your room, get good grades,
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on people at that transition stage that we see. That's where we see a lot of spontaneous suicide, especially in boys,
right,
where there's just so much confusion and so much pressure, and nobody's helping make sense of that for them.
Wow. Has that always been the way, or is it just recent times
Puberty,
in this era? No, in terms of that making...
No, puberty's been there for a while.
Puberty's been around, I know. But just in terms of the not being able to deal with it all, is that a current thing, or has that always been...
I think that, maybe in traditional communities where there was, rites of passage or initiations and things like that, which, on the surface look pretty barbaric. I think they hold their place in terms of helping people into those or through those transitional stages of life,
right,
from one place to another. I don't think we do that now. And you look at that stage, that's usually the transition from primary school to high school, where you go from this safe kind of little social kind of nest into this very cold, structured, lonely space for many people. And it's very difficult. And that's where, whatever's going on for a human being, that's where we start seeing things like bullying and, just some pretty terrible behaviours that affect humans in a way that they often don't survive.
I've never understood bullying. I just don't get it. I actually don't get it. I don't get how any one human could do that, whether it's physical or, emotional, or I just don't get it.
Well, when I left home and school when I was just 15.
Yep.
And when I left, and this is what informs all of my work, is what happened to them, the men, to make them like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was at school, I left pretty early, obviously, but I was a bully, physical and emotional bully.
Okay.
I was in so much pain with what was happening to me at home that I was just pouring all of my grief out onto everybody. So I think that's something that is a lens that I always look through when I'm especially dealing with men who've been labelled angry or need anger management. I'll always be looking at what kind of pain they're in.
What happened, yeah.
And quite often there'll be men who'd experienced sexual assault as little boys who have no pathway of understanding what happened to them, let alone being able to get any support for that, because we don't have any support here for that alone. There's a lot of pain. So anyone that's listening in, when you're looking at behaviour, always imagine that there could be a lot of pain. Find out where the pain is.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I can speak of that in terms of when I see people suffering financial pain, and that if you don't deal with that and you let that linger and continue on in your world, eventually you're going to explode. And I speak of men that are, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s that have all of a sudden become angry. Well, they haven't all of a sudden become angry. It's been building for quite a while, and when you can't take it anymore, that's when they're lashing out, or the anger, or the out of character. And I've learnt that only in probably the last decade to actually be empathetic to that. Before, I would just think that person was just a lunatic, but yeah, when you're carrying stuff and you can't deal with it, whether it's talk about it or get or find a solution for your situation, it's a lot to deal with. So the anger is absolutely, or the out of character. It's tough. I mean, life's tough as it is, for most people. Nobody's cruising around on this planet going, this is all fantastic.
A lot of it is. And then there's the other side of it too.
Yeah. No, I mean, life is great, but there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of suffering attached to life as well that people have to navigate through. Most people are really good at pretending that everything's good. And that, if it works, fantastic. But
we go back to cultures like yours and how you were raised. Stoicism was, a sign of strength. The more stoic you were, the stronger you are. So the more you can hold and the more you can suffer and struggle, that's kind of an indication of you doing well in life. Whereas we're not seeing it. We've kind of reached that point where we understand how much harm that causes human beings. And we maybe have overcorrected a little bit too much, and therefore people aren't as resilient as they were, because there's nothing wrong with being stoic.
It's got its place.
Yes.
But if you are trying to be stoic through serious adversity, I think there's a problem there, because if you're not able to discuss with anybody, then that could manifest itself. The one thing I know I'm not a mental health expert by any stretch, but I've lived life. I understand what going through stuff in life is all about. But having spoken to a lot of experts in this space, when I first set up the Male Hug in August of 19, I had met with several mental health experts in this field, and the theme was very consistent. If more men spoke early, then our clinics would be empty. That was the talk. And I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I had endured some things, and I'd seen friends and colleagues and others endure some things as well. So the minute you start talking is the minute you start healing. Once it leaves you're a long way to a solution than not. That was my thought. And it's certainly, I lived through that. So, but there's different levels of depression and, stress and adversity and hardship. And so I can't speak of, what you went through, that would have been quite brutal to deal with. And
so that causes mental health problems that you're not born with.
Yeah.
And then some people are born with, irregular serotonin or whatever it might be that causes clinical depression or causes a mental health or an illness that they're born with. So it's really, again, there's just so many combining things and so many comorbid things that could be going on for a human being that causes whatever outcome we're experiencing. So I would always say, what you can know about human beings is F all. Never assume that you will know anything about anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
And even when you mentioned about just talking before, talking can be a great thing, but if the person listening is not equipped to listen, it can be very damaging.
Absolutely.
As well. So we have to really know where we are safe.
Yeah. To
actually have those conversations. I was speaking to a very dear friend the other day, and he's of a generation, and I was not dismissive of this, but he was talking about an older gentleman he was having a conversation with the other day in the boardroom, and this is a senior guy comes in, and my friend said, I didn't know this at the time, but his wife had passed away 2 weeks prior, and he had the man who came in actually didn't mention it until a little way into the conversation.
Yeah.
And my friend said, I really admired that he held that to himself. I really admired how he was able to contain that and not speak about that. And my brain went, wow, that is not where we're at in the world. Why that man didn't feel he could speak about it is because he's conditioned to go into a boardroom and go, well, I have to leave my personal stuff at the door and I can't speak about it. And my wife passed away 2 weeks ago. I just have to keep going.
That's incredible.
And the world supports this. To go, good on you, mate. Good on you for not saying anything. And it's like,
no.
No. We need to be better at that.
This is the brutal nature of these boardroom type of scenarios where I think there's a lot of, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know what I saw. I was watching something, and there's a lot of attention paid to people in really senior roles in a way that they're treated as rock stars, as those that can solve anything. Whether we talk about, big time politicians or big corporate CEOs, but they almost demand the room when they walk in, and I don't understand why that is. I think we're all human, so they put this pressure on themselves to be this, this big star in life, but they're not. I mean, they're life's problems come their way as well. So when it comes time to talking and opening up, they're probably the ones that find it hardest thing to do, because they've got to remain like this gentleman. He's lost his wife, and he's got to be this massive rock in the boardroom.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Big, whatever. And that's a problem.
But from my friend's side, I said a better way that conversation could have happened is that then you might have just been curious, not try to fix it and not apologize, but to say, what does that feel like for you?
Yeah.
How are you managing? And really spending time, because not all of a sudden is somebody going to gush out everything. We need to be curious, and we need to hold space for people and not try and fix and not try to give an example. Oh, yes, my wife died as well. We can't be doing that. We just need to literally just shut the F up.
And listen. And listen. But the thing is, and I've had, several friends and acquaintances reach out to talk about stuff in their life. And I don't follow up because I don't want to be this nosy person. Because I know when I've gone through things and I've spoken to someone, I don't appreciate the continuous follow-up. How's it all going? What's going on? What, like that.
Does it feel inauthentic though when people
very
do that?
Disingenuous? Yeah, yes. So I kind of think, just be there when I want you, and I do the same thing. So when and that's the value I think in those relationships, because if you're constantly probing, it becomes annoying.
Yeah.
And I think people. I reckon everybody needs a time to talk. I don't think anybody living on this planet is just cruising through this place going, life is just amazing. And that's a word that I despise, when people talk about amazing.
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 Yeah.
How are you going? Amazing.
No, you're not.
So, but look, life is beautiful. Life is fantastic. Life is wonderful.
Yes.
But we get sidetracked. We get inundated. We get lost. We get overwhelmed. And this is why the Male Hug focus on early stage intervention and education and prevention. It's not a crisis management service. When you ring which we'll talk about, our 1-800-MY-BUDDY line, there's a clear intro which describes if you're experiencing serious stuff, there are options. But if you want to talk to a buddy, you click one and you talk to one of our buddies who are just there to listen.
Well, let's just backtrack a little bit, because we are supposed to be talking about your trajectory here, and we're going all over the place, which is absolutely fine. Because
I can do that. Yeah.
If you need to learn how to have a conversation, this is exactly how you do it.
Yeah.
You just let it happen. I must say, in terms of acknowledging and validating people, if you feel acknowledged and validated, that doesn't always have to be a conversation. And yesterday I was reminded of this. I caught up with a friend. I've recently travelled in South America. I was very, very fortunate and lucky to do that. And I travelled with Jeremy, who's also from Australia. We met over there, but we did some travelling together, and we caught up for a walk with our dogs yesterday. And he'd bought me something for my birthday that was a little while away, and he gave it to me. I didn't unwrap it until I got home. And he'd made me a mug, and it had all these photos of my family all over it. It was me and all these pieces of my life that he collected off social media.
Wow.
And been so thoughtful because he knows, I mean, anyone that meets me knows how important my kids are to me.
Yeah.
It had my dog on there, everything. And I cried with such joy that somebody had gone to this effort to make this collage of my life on a mug. And it was just I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah, that's so extraordinary.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So there was no conversation, no words. That's a gesture that will sit with me for a long time.
Oh, that sounds incredible. I mean, that's and once again, it's how people make you feel with their actions or with the way they treat you and that is a reflection of how he values you in his life. So extraordinary.
So
I was about to say amazing, but
amazing. It's amazing. Look at it. It's always we've only got an hour left of this show, so
really?
I need to ask you.
Yep.
What was the moment or what was the time in your life where things got so challenging for you that you started really recognizing that, your mental health is an issue?
Yeah, so it was around the sort of GFC 2007-8 time, and I'd left the accounting industry and had a couple of hospitality venues down at Federation Square. And things got really tight and really tough. And the GFC, I think, was probably one of the worst, if not the worst, economic times we have seen. But what we're going through now is I think, much more significant. But at the time, so it was a horrible period of trying to manage these businesses and keep the banks and the creditors away, and was going through a separation. My first marriage, separation and then divorce, but the worst part of it, I had my father who was dying in hospital, and he went very quickly within sort of a 3-month period. So it was a horrible time, but once again I was trying to maintain, because you look at yourself as you're a winner, you're a successful person who always achieves, and that you cannot fall. So, and I remember things got really tight with the management at Federation Square there, and they'd issued some serious legal notices, and I don't know where this came from, but there was a huge pub there at Federation Square, Transport. I was in the office one Monday night, and I got a phone call, person asking for the owner. I said, "You're talking to him?" And he said, "Well, we're just calling in relation to the possible purchase of your venue." And I thought someone was playing a prank, and turned out they were real. I didn't know who they were, but further down the track we explored, and they wanted the venue and they bought the venue. So it got me out of a bit of a hole, but I still lost a lot of money through that process. And but once again, the worst was my father dying in hospital, and that was just, and even to this day I can't believe how quickly he went. But I wasn't talking. I'd sort of shut myself out, thinking that I could handle everything, and I couldn't handle everything. I ended up in hospital through really, really bad stress and anxiety, and I was getting these panic attacks. I didn't even know what they were. You'd get a sort of a wave come through your body. You'd just be anywhere, you'd be driving, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And it was, panic attacks and anxiety attacks and really bad depression. But talking to those closest to me, and it was just a couple of people. I was embarrassed to talk to my wider network, because that's just what I knew. But talking certainly did help. Getting the support of a few people really did help.
What kind of support?
Just people there, just knowing they were there. And that meant a lot. I didn't want to burden family or others. It was, I just felt like I didn't want to burden anybody. I'll get through this, but I had some good friends who were just supportive, and some family members, and my grandmother, God bless her, she was, she would always say to me, just one foot in front of the other and just keep going.
Is this the grandmother who raised you?
Yes.
Wow.
So she came and lived, she'd been in Australia for a long time, and she passed away in 2015. But she was an incredible woman, and her strength and, her advice was just one foot in front of the other and just keep moving. And so the business situation, whatever, that's money. The marriage breakdown, that was whatever as well. It was time to sort of exit out of that. But losing my father was the thing that really, really just, it was brutal. And then I started to pick up the pieces and went back into setting up an accounting practice. It's what I knew. I started from scratch. You don't normally do that, to go out and set up an accounting firm from scratch on your own without clients and that's where I met my now wife, who,
that's why you did it.
Great. Well, that's it. Everything for a reason. I believe in that. But amazing. It's just incredible. I don't even know how we met. We're 10 years apart. We're different worlds. It was just a chance meeting. That's it. And then she stuck around. I couldn't believe why she wanted to stick around. She's the most supportive, sort of kind human that, the weirdest part about all this is that when I was going through the separation, my father said to me, he said, one day you're going to meet a beautiful woman and you're going to forget everybody and just focus on your life with her. And I said, what are you talking about? I'm married. He said, I'm just telling you.
Oh, so you didn't even know you were going to be divorced at this stage?
And I'm like, wow, that was incredible. It's something that, so Mariana, came along and it's been the most amazing 13 years of just, I wouldn't even get on a plane to travel previous to meeting Mariana, and we travelled, the world together and did a lot of things, and I was afraid of flying. That was one of my things, that I just wouldn't get on a plane. So many trips to Paris and the US and, Dubai and other places. And, but I look at life and I think that whatever I went through was all, I suppose, a catalyst for what it prepared me for next. And there's a lot of people that are suffering through business situations or divorces or losing loved ones, but losing a loved one is not something you can ever be prepared for, you ever get over. It's a very weird feeling. But business, whatever, divorce is, while sad, it's time. But you learn to build and move forward, and it's, but I think the power of talking really helped me to sort of deal with everything that I was going through at the time. It helps. So,
well, that's such a lot. That's the trifecta, which is relationship breakdown, financial distress, and usually there's custody of kids issues that go into that trifecta. But we know that probably that accounts for a lot of suicide, male suicide, just that trifecta.
Yeah.
So really the logical thing is putting support to that specific scenario or the combination of those scenarios, which we're not doing yet. And as I mentioned before, just the latest, federal budget that came out, I think it's 784 million towards women's health, and that's a very dedicated women's health strategy. So it's very, very well thought out. Men, 32 million, not towards the men's health strategy, but towards Movember, Black Dog, and Menished. So it's not really going to anything specific. So even what you've just described there, you go, wow, imagine if we had, we had a minister for men's health. We recently had, can't remember his name in Victoria, but that role's now gone.
Yeah,
That disappeared pretty fast.
Yeah.
So fast, cannot even remember his name. But it's not about money, and it's not about this zero sum. If you give to men, you're taking away from women. It's everybody matters, and why don't men matter as much?
That's crazy stat that you shared with me. I mean, that's 780 versus 30.
It's
that's
like
ridiculous.
25 times more, which again, I don't want to get hung up on numbers because that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about understanding human beings and how we can get better support to have people be accountable for themselves. You know, how do we get men to voluntarily go and look after their health? Because pushing them and telling them to do it is not working.
Yeah, 100%. I recently met with a woman who senior role with a large institution, a large financial institution, and she said to me, "I love what you're doing here with the male hug." She said, "But I've got an issue with the name." I said, "Really?" I said, "Why is that?" She said, "I'll have I'm going to have a hard time selling it to my board and my stakeholders." And I hate that term, stakeholders. I never know what it means. Like stakeholders, everybody that's involved in some way, shape or form.
Somebody holding a big piece of meat.
Big steak, yeah. But, and I said to her, "Let me put it to you this way." I said, "Do you have a husband?" She said, "Yes." "Father?" "Yes." "Brother?" "Yes." "Son?" "Yes." I said, "What would your relationship be like with them if they were the best version of themselves?" She said, "You make a really good point." I said, "Let's just leave it at that." Because the thing is that everyone's important. Women are important. You know, the women in my life, my mother, my wife, my sisters, friends, but, you know, but the men's mental health is such an important issue, because if the man in that dynamic is in a good place, the relationship or the family would be in a much better place. And I think our social media team advised that 52% of our followers are women, which is fantastic. The event that we had, 430 people at the MCG, there would have been maybe 200 women. So everybody plays a role. I think personally that you know, those in relationships, those men in relationships with the women in the house play a really vital role in getting their men to come forward. I'm certain that a lot of the men that reach out through our 1-800-MY-BUDDY line are encouraged to do so by the women in their life. So I reckon it starts at home.
Tell me, I'm just jumping in here because I'm looking at the clock and I can hear our listeners going, "Tell us more about this male hug." And I love the title tag, whatever you call it. What would you call it?
Name? Yep.
We'll go
with
the
that.
male hug. I mean, I think that's why human beings have arms, is to hug each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's such a comforting thing to do. And it's the first thing that you do with people that you really care about and you love. And it's a comforting thing. So I think I think people might have a problem with it because it just conjures up all these men just hugging each other, which is like, oh, that's weird, but it's not. It's not at all. No. We grew up, you know, being Lebanese, Middle Eastern, we hug and kiss men. Yes.
Like it's just...
Yeah.
I used to, when my father would pick us up from after we'd gone to school camp, the first thing we'd want to do is give us a big hug and a kiss. And I used to try and run away from it because all my friends, all my Aussie mates would be there going, "What's this bloke doing? Is he serious?" Or
It's funny how things have changed. Like I noticed when, like my oldest is 31 and my youngest is 17.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Anyway, when Rory, my younger son, when his friends come around, they always hug me.
Yeah, that's great.
These are 17-year-old boys, and I noticed that they hug their mums and they hug their dads.
Yeah.
And I think that generation has been shown.
Has embraced the hug.
But it's okay and it's permissible, and you are probably cooler doing it than not doing it.
Yeah.
But look, I have known many people who have tried to get men's health initiatives up on the ground, and it's usually out of their own pocket. under their own steam, starting with zero, and not many of them really get up that well. And that's not because the effort and the care isn't there. It's just because it's hard.
It's hard, yeah. It takes money.
You have made this into something quite phenomenal.
No, I have. Well, I've got a great team, and I will say this, and I always overthink, but I like to do that because I like to recognise. I like to recognise our ambassadors who I've spoken about. I like to recognise our corporate partners. So, the Institute of Public Accounting, the IPA, BDO, Lending Association, BGL Corporate Solutions, Nationwide Corporate Services, Astera Accountants. If I've forgotten anyone, I don't think I have. Lending Association. Amazing organisations who have just jumped on board and supported. And our donors, people that have donated through our Talktober campaign, our events, people that have bought auction items at events. And it's funny, we put on this massive event, each year at the MCG, which takes a massive amount of work and effort. And, our board do an amazing job, and our creative guys, Wayne Pasela does an amazing job with managing social media. And but the event that we do at the MCG is just more of an awareness raiser. It's to shine the biggest light on it, give people a beacon of hope. It's not it's a very costly event, but it covers itself with what we do with it, but it's an amazing awareness raiser. But yeah, we'd like more corporate partners to come on board. We'd like more donors during Talktober.
But give us the structure. So you started the Male Hug.
Yep.
Give me the trajectory of how you've built it to where it is now.
Yeah, so basically established it in August of 19, started to put together a board from a governance. So it's an incorporated entity registered with the ACNC. We've got full DGRS status with the tax office. So we've got a great board, governance, a great creative team, a service delivery team, and
they're all volunteers.
All volunteers, and we've got a group of buddies who volunteer, the buddy roster, and ambassadors and corporate partners. So our buddies who sit on the roster, there's probably got about 20 buddies and they're all, we've done the mental health first aid training.
Just be a bit more clear about this, because you're talking, this stuff. The people that are listening in have no idea what any of this means.
Yep. So the buddies sit on our buddy roster. So we've got a 1-800 My Buddy service. So people can call that line and they'll be put through to one of our buddies. It's a 24/7 service. It differs to just a lifeline or other lines, because these buddies get the chance to connect with the people that are calling through. Some of them catch up for a coffee. They continue their conversations on a weekly basis. We've got one of our buddies speaks to a guy that has called up. Every Monday they speak for half an hour. So this guy, quite lonely, that's all he's looking for, and it works beautifully. So it's more of a personal touch than just a 10 or a 15-minute line.
And as you said, it's not crisis counselling, is it?
No. It's people that are lost, overwhelmed, confused, lonely, just looking for some comfort, some company, some connection.
And I can hear some people going, but what happens if? And I understand what happens if somebody calls out and they do have quite a challenging, say, mental health presentation that requires something more. Then your buddies are trained to send them to resources, aren't they?
We've got services that people can then forward them on to look after that situation. So, and we make it clear through all our marketing and promo that we're not a crisis management service, but we offer we want to get to men before things get out of hand. That's the whole purpose of this. So when you raise awareness, you shine a light, you attract them in. I'd rather someone talks to me today than, 6 months down the track they're harming themselves or doing something. And I don't know enough about suicide to you well more, versed in that area, but I think there's providing the solution from an early stage intervention and prevention measure, I think is quite beneficial to most men, not all men, but most men.
Yeah.
And we've got some police officers on our buddy list who are trained in this stuff. They attend.
How many do you have?
We've got. When I say we got one senior police officer.
No, I mean, how many buddies do you have?
20. We've got 20 buddies. Yeah.
What happens if the service became overwhelmed? What happens to the call if I was trying to get through? I'm a bloke. We're
working on that now. So we're basically looking to. We're going to further our buddies' mental health training with a institution, and they have a counselling service, and we're looking to put their counsellors onto the buddy roster as well. Yeah. So and we're looking to grow our buddy list from 20 to hopefully 40 by the end of the year. So we'll go on a bit of a recruitment drive to take on new buddies.
And they're all volunteers too?
All volunteers, yep.
Wow.
Yep. Just big, passionate, big-hearted men. If I can say, we've got I think I mentioned, just a complete no dickhead policy. So got to be a good person with a big heart.
Yep.
Who cares and
who's committed too. It's
commitment is a big part of it.
Quite often, again, you see these initiatives where people are all very gung-ho and they're very committed at the beginning and then lose interest.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. It's hard to expect a lot of volunteers, and I'm very conscious of that. But and this is why it's sort of transitioning from a passion project to a fully operational business model now. We're looking at that very seriously to take these programs around the country.
What do you, so in terms of your programs, like workplace programs,
yep.
I was having a little look at those and was curious about people who are presenting at these workplaces. Are they qualified to?
Well, it's me. It's our board. Okay. Like we go into organisations. Yeah. We've got expert mental health, personnel within our buddy group. So. We go into organisations. We've been into ANZ. We've been into different financial service institutions, and we've done presentations about how to talk, the power of talking, some of the burdens I suppose men are faced and confronted with, and the services that we offer to try and alleviate those problems through the 1-800 buddy line. So
okay, cool.
The response is amazing. Like we did it. I took Kevin Sheedy with me. We did a presentation to ANZ Bank. I think they'd let go about 3,500 staff last year before Christmas, and we went into their auditorium and spoke to their teams about what we do. And it's not rocket science stuff. It's basically how to talk, how to approach a conversation, how to support someone, how to be a good listener. Some of the issues that we're facing at the moment as a society, which are many and varied.
Yeah.
Cost of living, business closures, job losses, AI, divorces, loneliness. There's a lot of things that. So we've always tried not to complicate things. We keep it as a very simple approach, which I think works. And we're about to run a big Talktober campaign every October.
Yes, tell me about that. What I couldn't find exactly on your website what that means. Yeah,
there's a lot of. So Talktober is a thing that we created during October. So it's an awareness raising campaign to get men talking. This year we're going to do something a little bit different, where it'll be called the Talktober 2555 Steps.
Jeepers, that's a mouthful.
It is, but 2555 basically reflects the amount of suicides on average, as per the stats, that are men. So we're going to ask people to do the Talktober 2555 and walk 2,555 steps a day as part of Talktober.
Mm-hmm.
Get your community behind it and help us to raise awareness and raise funds for the campaign. So it's a very inclusive. It's the whole family can get involved, not just for men, it's for women as well. So it's something that we're just about to launch, and I think it's going to have a great impact within the community.
Fantastic. Well, let me know.
You'll be part of it. Yeah, you'll be walking with us. So, yeah.
Well, I have a new website as well, and there's a little part there about what Rae's talking about. So I'm really pleased to host that on my website so people can join from
absolutely.
there.
We'll send you some information for sure. Yeah.
Yes. And thank you, Mike Ulkani, for putting my website together for me as well. Little shout out there. That's something to look forward to. And it gets people moving.
Yeah, well, there's a two benefit here. So it's talking and walking. And I think the first time we've tried to highlight the I suppose the issue of suicide, and we don't focus on that, but we felt compelled that this Talktober had to be dedicated to those, 25, 55 that we're losing on average each year.
And like we discussed the other day, quite often we can hang on to those stats, and they're alarming, but they're the ones that we know about. So
yeah.
Some of my focus is on what we call the slow burn suicide. So we see that a lot in workplaces. We talk about high risk, heavy industry where there's lots of hazards, that men who have given up, just say the scenario, they've put an AVO on them, they can't be at home anymore, they've lost contact with their kids, they're in court, all of their income is going towards children and the family law system, will give up hope. So they don't want to explicitly kill themselves, so they will find ways that they will put themselves in high risk situations so they might die.
Right.
So some of those things might be, we look at workplace deaths. So 95% of workplace deaths here in Australia are men. Full stop.
Wow.
And you can't fake that because they're dead. And that doesn't even include suicide. But you look at farming accidents, a tractor rolled over. Did that tree really just drive in? Did a car just really drive into that tree? Probably not.
Yeah.
Then you see the men who are substance misusing at great knots, because that's another way you can die progressively, just kill yourself without actually having to put suicide on that label. So there's many, many ways that men will give up living. That's not necessarily that one moment. It can be a series of many moments that lead to the same thing.
Well, I know that a lot of men who live, normal lives are drinking heavily or using, substance, cocaine, drugs on a regular basis. So if that's not a way to damage yourself, then I don't know what is.
Well, that's right. And I used alcohol for a lot of my life to manage my mental health problems, and fortunately I don't anymore. I don't have that relationship, but I understand what it feels like to just have that and just isolate yourself and masquerade as a high achiever when your best friend really is alcohol.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It damages you.
Yeah.
I'm really fortunate that I made that leap to say, no, I really want to preserve my life.
Well done, yeah.
Hey, do you know what? I just remembered we do have to go to a break, but before we do, I wanted to give a shout out to another great and mutual friend in Rae Chamberlain.
Okay, yes. Oh, he's a good man, Rae.
So Rae sat in that chair as well.
Did he? Yeah.
Cracking show. One of my favourite shows I've ever done, because he's, again, an amazing human being. Yeah. The Chamberlain Foundation also needs a shout out. The work that they do, Rae and his brothers, around mental health.
Absolutely. We attended this year's one we attended, my wife and I.
Yeah.
Great night.
Yeah.
He's a good man. Rae spoke at our last year's Kick Golf Mental Health event.
Yes.
And I've got to catch up with Rae, so hello to Rae.
We should catch up together.
I'd love to, yeah.
That would be a great conversation.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And we'd love to get the Chamberlain Foundation involved with Kick Golf Mental Health. We've got to talk about that. So
I'm going to ring him after this and say, hey, were your ears burning?
Please do, yeah.
Yeah. But again, just an example of another man who gets off his ass and does something because he can. And, he's spoken very openly about it on this show. He also doesn't have a perfect existence. He's got challenges around, kids and himself, and, being an AFL umpire ain't easy.
I'm sure I've probably abused him over the years, being a mad Carlton supporter. But I think, wonderful work that him and his brothers do. And he did say they established that foundation over 10 years ago because one of his brother's friends had taken his life. Yeah. And they did it in honour of that. So, they do amazing work. And, he's a good man. I've got a lot of time for Rae. Yeah. We're overdue for a coffee catch-up.
Let's do that. We need to go to a break probably because you need to have a drink. You probably have been drinking. I need one. But at that stage, we've got another very special guest song request. So hopefully I don't giggle my way through this one. But this this is a cracker of a song, by the way. The clue is straightforward swivel.
Straightforward swivel. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got me.
So, actually, it's not even that song. I think that's a different song. It's actually Simply the Best. Jimmy Barnes and Tina Turner.
Great track.
Straightforward being Simply.
Oh,
Simple,
there you go.
And
you
Swivel being Turner.
Brain's not working on a Sunday morning, but that's wonderful. Yes.
Mine wasn't even turning.
Ripper track. Put it up loud.
So when we come back, we've got to wrap this show, and it seems that you and I have not run out of things to talk
There's
about.
There's much more
yet.
to talk about. And you still haven't played my other favourite song, Believe in Dreams.
Well,
that's got to come up somewhere.
You know, I did give you another shellacking before you got on air, because I say to everyone in the audience, when you give me your songs, they cannot be any more than 3.5, 4 minutes max, because it will just eat up
Maybe
all
you
of your
can close out the show with Believe in Dreams, because that'll make people feel great on a Sunday morning.
I will, and then I won't have to give you that other special guest song request, will I?
You can leave the young divas behind. So that's.
Well, you're listening to 94.1 FM. It's 3WBC, and here is again Barnesy and the late great Tina Turner with Simply the Best. Don't go away. So, what does it feel like being you today? I'll tell you what. After that song, I think my heart rate's up to about 53. That's pretty high for me, because I've got a resting of about 44. My guest this morning is Tony Rabah, the man behind the male hug, or in the male hug, or giving the male hug. What's the difference between a male hug and a female hug?
Good question.
Probably testosterone.
Maybe the grip. I don't know. I think there's a hug's a hug.
You walk into that like I know when I hug my sons are big, tall boys, and it's sort of like, that feels so nice.
It makes you feel good. Like every time I hug my wife, it's a she'll say, I need a hug, and it's lovely. Or I hug my mother, and it's my mother-in-law. It's just it's a nice thing to do. Like it's.
Well, you look at kids, babies, they're hugging teddies. We're always hugging. We're doing it all the time.
Yep. And we love hugging our little cavoodle Teddy. Teddy's the best.
Have you still got your Teddy?
He's the best. He's only 3 years old. He's I was never a dog person. Yeah. My wife always was, so we bought Teddy 2.5 years ago.
Oh, so Teddy's your dog?
Yeah, little Teddy. So Teddy's our little cavoodle, and he's an absolute ripper. He's 3 years old, and he is just the best. I never thought I'd be saying this, by the way, so I was never a dog person.
Well, do you see your life kind of in stages or phases? You have these parts that you go through, and then, you've arrived in this space where you seem to feel very grateful for what you've got.
I think life prepares you for, you go through various things or various stages or various moments, and they all prepare you for something, down the track. But I think, adversity sadly is part of that, but it teaches you. It's a good teacher. But I can honestly say that life's very good at the moment. Touch wood. Well
done in that you had some kind of drive inside of you, or some kind of notion that you knew what to do for yourself during that time. I mean, what you described, wow. Did you ever sleep during that period?
It was brutal, I'll be honest. It was really tough. But having said that, when I reflect now, I think it was necessary in order for this chapter, if that makes any crazy sense.
I would challenge necessary, because I think most people who've experienced what you did, or a lot of people, would not have made it through. There's
a lot of people going through a lot of stuff at the moment.
But they don't make it.
Yeah, well, this is why the male hug's there to support.
So when you say it's a necessary thing, maybe necessary for you, I don't know. I think about where I was and where I am. I think, I'm very grateful that inside of me I have a naturally high resilience.
Times two, yeah, and you work your way through it.
Yeah, I'm just lucky to have that. I was born with that.
Yeah,
and
I never wanted to. Yeah, I never wanted to capitulate, if that makes any sense, even though I was going through stuff, but I didn't. I thought a little bit sort of more highly of myself than that, and there's a drive there. you had it, you understand what it means. So
yeah, and not everyone is that fortunate to have that. So when we're judging others and saying you really should, you need to, you have to get help, don't always assume that everyone has the same level of drive or intelligence, or and I'm saying that people are stupid. No. But not everyone has the same lens on life, and not all of us are lucky enough to have that. So.
Telling people that you're there is enough sometimes, or sending a text sometimes helps. Makes people feel good.
Depending on what's in it. Like, as you said, it can be disingenuous,
just how you're going.
That's why my question is, what does it feel like being you today, as opposed to, hey, going, mate? Yeah, good. Because, yeah, good. Like, clients will ring me.
Amazing, yeah.
Or a new client will ring me, and I'll ring them back and I'll say, how you going? They go, yeah, good. I go, that's bullshit, because no one rings me when they're good. That's the very reason why people ring me.
Yeah, you just want to say I'm really shit.
I feel like and they go, oh, yeah. And then you can sort of feel them just exhale and go, oh, thank God I can actually just, take off my bra and just...
It's good. A lot of good actors around. I say people, men in particular, wear a mask. I've worn a mask, and it's a horrible thing to do.
But you said it before. You said people don't want to burden others with their stuff.
That's part of it, yeah.
And
there's ego, and then there's burden, yeah.
Because often what's on the other side, and I just did it to you then because I just overtalked you, and that's really rude.
That's okay.
But a lot of people will do that because they want to get their bit in, or they want to fix you, or they want to give you their version. And
do you reckon most humans are selfish by nature, or do you reckon they're selfless? What percentage selfish, selfless do you think?
I think I could answer that in different ways. I would say people are thoughtless. And people have got into habits of communicating that feel very selfish and self-centered, but I think they're reactions to experiences where they need their voice to be heard. So I often see people that are over talkers, or who, like, just say a narcissist, what people label as a narcissist.
Yep.
If I unpick that life, it's usually somebody who hasn't had a voice as a child.
Okay.
And so they've learned, they've put systems in place as a child to be louder, stronger, more overbearing, and then those behaviours carry into adulthood and become adult behaviours.
What percentage of people you reckon would do the right thing if nobody was watching?
We had that the other day. Well, my granddaughter, the other day, she was vomiting just a little bit during the day, and I took her to swimming lessons in the afternoon, and she did a little bit of a vomit in the pool, and I just pushed it down the grate, and then later, because no one was looking, and then later we're in the pool with Rory, my son, and we were throwing her around a bit. And I had fed some blueberries, and they ended up in the pool too, bobbing around, and we just ran away from them. So does that answer your question?
Okay, so you're in that percentage.
Is that the right? I don't know.
Yeah, look,
it's chlorine.
We've all done things, I guess that, But I'm talking about things that is going to impact another human, but you're prepared to do it anyway because it's going to advance your cause. That's the stuff that scares me about certain humans. So, I don't know you very well, but I wouldn't imagine you'd be someone that could impact another human and just walk away going, not my problem, as long as I'm good.
I'm very mindful. And the other day you talk about bullying, and I pulled myself up because I reflected. I was in a setting, I'm not going to say because it could be people listening in.
Yep.
And I didn't like the behaviour of somebody. It didn't resonate with me.
Yep.
So I went and repeated that to somebody else. And it wasn't till later that I thought that is actually bullying behaviour.
Yep.
In that I've taken an experience of somebody, repeated it to somebody else. Now, what I really needed to do was probably go to the person who affected me and have a very respectful conversation with that person.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly pulling myself up because I know that I do have behaviours that and I'm just not thinking, and it's not right. So I know that I'm capable of hurting people. I don't mean to.
Yeah.
If I do, I'm more than willing to own it and to learn from it. But
that's good. That's great. I think most people, certainly my appreciation for genuine humans has just gone through the roof in the last I mean, I've always been that way, but the last sort of 5 years or so, for some reason, it's genuine or nothing, or want nothing to do with you in a regards. If you're capable of, you know, being a little bit dodgy or being a crappy human, then I don't necessarily want to fix you or have anything to do with you.
But what sits behind that?
Well, I agree with you. There's something there, but it's people like that, particularly when I look at the male hug, and I'm talking about the male hug, if we bring buddies into the group that are not good humans, where does that leave those who are vulnerable and calling our service?
Well, that's a kind of a different thing because you need attributes in a human being to provide that service.
Correct.
So you're not judging a person, you're actually saying we need human beings with certain attributes to be able to safely deliver this work.
Good people, and I need those attributes in my life in general.
Yeah, are they good people or are they capable people? You know, it's good is subjective.
Yeah. Good as in someone who is incapable of hurting someone, or incapable of being selfish in many situations. I know where you're going.
I know I'm splitting hairs a bit because I'm thinking, well, then I wouldn't qualify because I'm capable of hurting people and I don't mean to.
So you're naturally aware of that?
Well, I just know we all do.
But when you say hurting people, what do you mean?
Well, again, it's subjective. Like, for an example, when you came in here, I had no idea what your morning had been like, really. But I
tried to get here without the sat nav working, and I'm pushing buttons, and Uncle Bill's ringing me.
Yeah, so you've got all this going on.
In the studio.
I've had my own experience of whatever's going on in my life.
Yeah.
And then everything's moving really fast. I don't know that I didn't hurt you in that moment when I was probably you didn't know me. I think I'm fine being direct, but you could have actually thought I was very rude.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
In the first instant when you said stop,
yes.
I went, whoa, what's going on here?
Yes.
Do I need to walk out of the studio? But that's okay. We got through it.
Yes, but my intention was I just need my head to stop for a moment so I can figure out the whole panel and make sure we're going to get on air.
See, I wasn't looking at that, but you had a lot to do. But I was trying to give you a pamphlet of the male hug.
Yes. And I wanted in my world, I wanted to give that the respect and the time to absorb that, not just take that off you and go, great, and dump it.
See, the power of talking. Talking solves most, if not all things.
Exactly.
I believe.
So there you've got assumption, and everyone's making assumptions in a moment. So the opportunity is to respond rather than react. A reaction is walking out and going, you're horrible, see you later. A response is actually thinking, okay, I'm going to park that and have that conversation later, which I decided in my head that I would do.
Yeah.
Because I felt it, but I couldn't deal with it in that moment because that would have been a reaction.
No, that's a good call. That's a very good call. I think sometimes...
And now we're doing it on air anyway.
We overemphasize... Like, what are we trying to do here in life in general? You're born, you go through what you go through, and then you depart. So why don't we make it as enjoyable of a ride as possible? And I reckon to do that, you've got to be a decent person who's accepting of what comes their way, regardless of what it is. Because those that hold grudges or are vindictive or move on with, I do it. I've done it. I'm trying to get better. We're all trying to become better humans, but really, what does it all matter? What are we trying to achieve?
Well, then you could, that's a whole nother show.
That's another show. Yeah, absolutely.
But in terms of this show, in the last 15 minutes, I'm going to just give a little bit of information around support and resources because some of the themes and topics we've discussed today could have brought up uncomfortable feelings for people. So please remember, help is available. There is Lifeline on 131114, suicide callback service, which is 1300 659 467. And if you're not sure where to start or what help you might need, consider calling Head to Health on 1-800-595-212 or visiting their website. It's a national free service connecting you with the right mental health support, whether that's online, printable, clickable, watchable, downloadable, it's all there. And of course, as we've heard this morning, the male hugs 1-800-MY-BUDDY Can you say what that number is in numbers?
Yeah, I can actually. 1-800 so it's 1-800 my buddy, and it is. I'll give the number out. I will. Okay.
So while he's getting that, remember the Male Hug is not a health or crisis service and does not provide clinical or professional medical advice, but it does provide you with somebody who's really, really good at listening, and it's judgment-free.
Absolutely. So it's 1-800-692-8339. That's 1-800-692-8339.
Great. I'm also very happy to share that all of my shows are available anytime on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and their original home on YouTube. So this show, if you want to hear it again or you'd like to share it with somebody later, because it is pretty cool, it should be available in the next couple of weeks when I will be back. Now, during that time, over the next few weeks, I'm going to be rather busy preparing to head to Cape Town, South Africa for the 18th World Congress on Public Health, where men's health is part of the official scientific program for the first time ever. So I'll be there in my role as Vice Chair of Global Action on Men's Health, talking about how the workplace systems already reaching millions of people can be used to improve men's health and public health outcomes. And I'll also be sharing my work on gender responsive systems, which brings together a better understanding of men, their lives, and the determinants that can influence vulnerability and psychosocial risk into existing workplace health and safety practice. So here in Australia, I'm beginning to have opportunities to apply some of this thinking in practice and learn from what's happening next in terms of getting into some research. So over time, I hope this can help build lots of evidence that can contribute not only to better workplace practice, but to the broader public health conversation.
Well done.
Around men.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We might have to have a conversation around getting you to join our buddy program.
Would love to. Not sure if my 24/7, 7-day-a-week program might allow for it.
Oh, no. You can allocate just 1 hour a week or something, but we'll discuss that.
We can discuss that.
The beauty of all this, and I look at this and I know that it takes more than this, but this is a good starting point. There could be someone listening today going, wow, I can call and speak to someone and catch up and have a coffee with someone, and how good.
Yes.
How good is that?
Yep, and it doesn't have to be formalised either. Sometimes it's just recognising somebody's face doesn't look like it did yesterday and say, hey, I just noticed you don't look as happy as you did yesterday.
That's one of the things we talk about when we go into organisations to do presentations. You know, people become distant, they become non-responsive, they just do not engage in the way they normally would engage. And just look for those little signs in people, because if you suspect someone, you just send them a text today. Hey, what are you doing? You want to have a coffee? And
there doesn't have to be something wrong either. I actually just did a post on LinkedIn a few weeks ago. I was walking in the park with Vincent, my dog. He's a French bulldog. Mm-hmm. And I was running up the hill, and as I ran past, I was wearing this hat that I bought in South America. It's this fairy kind of fez-looking thing. Mm-hmm. And I just heard this man say, nice hat. And I thought,
there you go.
Keep running. I want to keep running. But I went, no, stop. So I stopped and I went back and had the most amazing conversation with 91-year-old Barry.
That's good,
for about 20 minutes, and we talked about men's health and we talked about his life. And there was nothing wrong with Barry at all.
Yep.
But I'm so glad I had that conversation, and I'm glad I didn't just keep my body moving and stopped to learn something from somebody who's a lot wiser than me and has so much to share.
That was probably his way of initiating the engagement by saying nice hat.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he even expected me to stop, because we like we were just saying before, we move so fast through life that we forget to stop, and we forget to look at a whole person's being, to notice if there's something.
Where are we going? Like, what are we doing? So what we do is we're living in a time where we've lost so much connection, but we're chasing. What are we chasing? I don't even know what we're chasing anymore.
Well, that's why slowing down sometimes can do that. Like, even when you just said to me about the buddy system, the old me goes, yeah, let's do that. That would be great. The new me goes, okay, let's stop. Let's just stop and think about that, because can I commit to something like that?
Yeah, which is good. Yeah.
You know, and I've got to do what's right for them. Because if I can't commit, then I'm just setting up expectations for you and other people.
Well,
let you down.
I appreciate that. So at our recent Kid Golf Mental Health, we had James Hurd as one of our speakers. His story was amazing.
Yes.
He spoke with Kevin Sheedy. But unbeknownst to me at the time, Tony Jones emceed the event, but Tony Jones had a crew coming from Channel 9 to promote the day. And I didn't know that James Hurd had said to Tony, no film crews in here. He said, I want to be respectful to the organisation. Let's not make it about my coaching, you know.
Yes.
Which I respected. I wanted the attention. I wanted the male hug to get the big Channel 9, you know, promo stuff. But I thought that's really nice. And so I respected that. But I think the more we can do this, and we're going to have an amazing Talktober camp. I said the word amazing. I said I wasn't going to say but Talktober, I look forward to your participation in Talktober because it's really just, it's very simple. It's doing some steps. It's getting on our site, registering, supporting and posting some stuff. Your influence there could help one person not go down a really deep
hole.
I was trying to find the word. That's why I said deep twice, but we can do that. And that's where, you know, it's, people are too hung up on perfection and everything has to be.
There's nothing perfect about this radio show, is there?
It's great. I've enjoyed it. I've loved it. I could do this every Sunday morning. But
so you knew we were going to walk out because of my abrupt manner.
My initial reaction was when you said stop, I half thought about, I'm out of here. I'm not going to put up with stop.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what did I say for you to say? I think I was trying to give you my pamphlets for the male hug.
Yeah.
And you said stop.
Because my experience was I'm getting overwhelmed. If I don't, and it was probably also resonant of the last show that didn't go to air when we pushed the button.
Right.
And I think I explained that to you.
So
had
panicking.
To pull out.
Yep.
So I thought, yes, I just need to have everything happening.
So maybe instead of saying stop next time, just say I feel a little bit overwhelmed.
I think that would have been too many words. But I do apologise.
No, it's all good.
But that's when you go, thank you, Rae.
Thank you, Rae.
Because it wasn't good because you were about to walk out. Nah, all good.
I wasn't going to.
All good. That's what everyone says. Yeah, all good.
Amazing. Yeah.
Amazing. So there's a little lesson for everyone. So coming up next, we have the amazing Paula Hogg with an afternoon of just really relaxed tunes and a lazy Sunday afternoon, she likes to call it. So she'll be arriving in the studio soon. And no, it's going to be Gabby's open. It's the football.
It's out and about, followed by the football.
Oh, Gabby's just come into the studio. Our wonderful... so the football's coming on, Gabby? Who's playing?
Yes, here it is there.
Okay, she's clanging around on the panel, making all sorts of noise. Here we go. This is real radio for you folks. Very, very professional. So what am I reading out here? Okay, Out and About.
It's followed by the football.
Followed by the football. And Out and About's being presented by you, Gabby, is it?
No, it's being presented by Robert Toseland.
Oh, Robert. There we go. The wonderful Robert Toseland. Out and About.
Oh, thank you.
He has got amazing radio voice.
Radio.
Thank you.
Have you got a spot for him? Oh, gosh, and slam that door on your way out, Gabby. Thank you very much. We have one more song to play, and you're going to actually request this all by yourself and tell us the story.
Yes, so Jackie Raw, Believe in Dreams. This is a really uplifting song. It was a song that I think it came out about maybe 30 years ago, but I listened to this song regularly during my tough period of my tough days, and it's a very uplifting, feel-good song. And it shows you what you can do if you keep moving forward. So, I hope the viewers are going to enjoy this track because it's a ripper.
Well, they're listeners more than viewers, but I'm sure they can. Don't know. Tony, thank you for sharing your story and for spending this Sunday morning with me when you probably should have been sleeping. And more importantly, for the amazing, extraordinary work that you dedicate to the greater good of other people.
Thank you.
It's selfless. It's humble. It might, as you said, it might look a little bit glamorous on the outside, but this comes from a place of real experience, and nobody's an expert in this.
No.
But, everybody is qualified to be kind and caring and respectful, and be like Tim Watson. Write that letter back.
Amazing stuff that Tim did. But thank you so much, Rae, for having me on your show. It's an absolute pleasure. And all I can say is if you suspect someone's been a little bit distant, just send them a text message and check in, go for a coffee, and get involved in Talktober, which is coming up very, very soon.
You can access that www.mailhug.
themailhug.com.au or talktober.com.au.
Yeah, you'll see it all there. So here we go. I Believe in Dreams by Jackie Raw. Take care, everyone, and remember, if you want to create spaces that support good mental health, safety and well-being, just don't be an asshole. Over and out.